You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, J.D. Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
And you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined this week by the two Chris's. Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely. We are the Warriors 3 this week because Nicole is...
Not Volstagg.
Right.
I call up Vandro.
He's okay, I'll take Volstagg, and...
Guess
so
I'm hoping.
There you go. So it is Fanboy versus Wars Aplenty. We've got War of the Green Lanterns. We got the War of the Four Cities. I mean, wow. There's a lot of warring going on this week.
Yeah.
Fighting zombies. I mean, it's, there's a lot of stuff. So that's exciting. What there isn't a lot of is
War on
news.
decency.
War on decency. Yeah, we're fighting against that for sure, doing this show. So, yeah. Anyway. Is there news? Did we say there's no news this week?
Well, we should just say we're down Nicole this week.
Right, we mentioned that. Yep, down Nicole. She's
Did we?
She's going to be at BotCon next week. I know that she's got that going on. Andy,
Cobra Commander from the Moonbase 2 is visiting the States.
Yep.
In this little inbreeding, cross-incestuous world of podcasting that you live in.
There's a lot of like weird sort of gears that mesh together with some big interconnected thing that we are. But yeah.
So, the jammy bastards go into BotCon, and I'm sat here.
What was that? Jammy?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's a neologism. That means
that.
lucky or unduly lucky or fortunate. And yes.
Okay.
Jammy.
You
jammy get.
For us unwashed Americans that don't know these sorts of things.
That's all he is.
So, let's see, what else? What do we have news-wise? I just want to say that the early reports on X-Men First Class is good, but that's next week.
Cool.
So, that's kind of exciting, I think.
It's good to hear that it's good. Which is, I mean, nobody thought it would be good. The trailer came out, everybody was like, oh, yeah, it might be decent. And then all the word is, like, it's apparently really quite good. So, yeah, I'll be seeing that, but we probably won't be talking about it next week because we're already going to have a pretty packed show next week with all the comics that are coming out.
Yeah, well, we've got Fear Itself, Flashpoint.
Yeah, that's enough. Like, what do you put at the top of the show then?
Yeah.
Which is better that week.
That's pretty much it.
There's only one way to find out. Bye!
That's right. That's what we're all about here on Fanboy Versus. See, that's synergy. No, not really. Anyway, so isn't there there's bound to be something else? No, we're missing it.
Thanos.
There we go.
Thanos is the rumor. Well, Latino Review, movie site this week, said unequivocally, not saying it's a rumor, not saying we heard, saying Thanos is in the Avengers film. That kind of came out of nowhere, and we haven't got any more information than that. I mean, of course, every site that's picked up on this story has, of course, run with the picture of the Infinity Gauntlet prop from, what was it, SDCC last year, which was supposed to be in Thor, but which you couldn't see anywhere.
Never saw it in the movie.
Was it new? I didn't see it in there.
I saw the Eye of Agamotto, though. Did you see that?
Yeah, well, I
or what looked like
I certainly saw the websites telling me that that's what it was after the fact. Can't say as I recognized anything while watching the film.
Yeah. So
So what did we think about that?
This isn't the first I've heard this. Didn't they say this like a long time back that Thanos was going to be the villain?
I'm sure that was... Well, I mean, again, as soon as people saw the Gauntlet, I'm sure that there was, rumors and jumping.
I've heard Loki, I've heard Skrulls.
I thought about this a little bit, and here's my problem, and here's my thing. Of course, I open with, but whatever.
Problem.
I know. I'm sorry, but here's my
the problem is he's a purple alien. That's
we set up this issue where it's like we have Iron Man and we have like the Hulk, where it's sort of like these are conceivable situations. Not to say that they're probable, just to say that they're conceivable within our world, where an Iron Man could happen, or where a Hulk could happen. And even they've done that in a way with Thor, where they're saying he's, a very advanced alien species in the Nine Realms as part of the world and universe, whatever. Okay. But we can sort of accept that that may be a part of our universe. And now we're just sort of throwing alien Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and now we're even doing it with Captain America, because now we're going to have the
Cube.
Yeah,
Cosmic Cube.
So now we're going to start to bring like wish-granting elements and very mystical
Well, see,
elements.
but if they do it with Cap first, that introduces the concept. Thor's given us aliens, and frankly, Thor's given us aliens from another dimension, not even straightforward aliens like you could, I'd say Thor as an interdimensional being is probably more of a leap than just straightforward aliens. So if Cap's able to functionally introduce that kind of reality bending with the Cosmic Cube, and frankly, I don't think maybe they should just try having Thanos go after the Cube, because Thanos, I'm pretty sure, has gone after the Cube at one point in time. I don't know when exactly. I'm almost certain he has, though. So if that's the route
I don't know.
go, I can get behind that.
Most of the Cube
Certain
stories I know of
Thanos
is like
after the
Red
Cube.
Skull, like Red Skull.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not even saying it's a big gripe. I'm just kind of saying it's like,
Well,
how far are we going to press it for the audience? But I don't know. I mean, Green Lanterns are going to throw that all out the window. It's going to be like, here's big aliens and weird crap.
They may possibly even be gambling on that. I mean, I've said it before, like, DC really needs to go. Well, Green Lantern looks like it's actually going to be good, which is a little surprising also. But with every passing trailer, that film really looks like it gets it and it's going to do it. It's going to be good. I don't know, did anybody see the clip? We saw a brief new clip from Green Lantern this week. Did you see that?
I saw that there was a clip, but I didn't actually see
Yeah,
it.
well, it's just a slightly extended version of that bit where Kilowog comes up and grunts at him. But it's when Hal meets Kilowog. And the really cool thing, though, is that the dialogue is actually ripped straight out of Secret Origin.
No way.
Really?
Yeah, really. Welcome to Ring Slinging 101.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So
that seems good. I think, so then, comic books and aliens is going to be in people's heads after that anyway. So I think the Avengers has a lot less of a leap to make than it might initially seem. I mean, I think Thor has gone a lot way to break the glass ceiling like that.
Well, let me approach it from another angle, though. To me, the Avengers are the general Avengers are very terrestrial, whereas Thanos is much more a part of that, like, space Marvel.
Now, you
mythos.
say that, though.
Have you read a lot of Avengers stories?
Yeah,
But the big complaint everybody had when Bendis grounded everything with New Avengers was that it wasn't cosmic anymore.
I mean, Kree-Skrull War, what was that?
Kree-Skrull War.
There was that space opera thing with the what's the X-Men aliens? I can't remember.
But I'm saying, like,
Shi'ar, yeah.
Operation Galactic Storm.
Yeah, if anything, they are spacefaring superheroes at this point.
Everything.
Wouldn't it make sense, though, like, if this is the first time that you have your assembled team, something along the lines of Ultron or something that is more terrestrial make sense for the first film and then go to Thanos or something for the second?
I'd love to see Ultron. Ultron sounds like a later down the road thing.
Well,
I mean, I'm just reminded of the Ultimates, where the first story arc is about them fighting the Hulk, and that's basically what the first issue of Avengers is about as well.
Right.
So I imagine that's going to factor into the film. But then the second half of the Ultimates is them fighting off an alien invasion. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do I know?
The second issue of Avengers is about a shape-shifting alien who comes to Earth to try and infiltrate the team. So.
Isn't that a scroll?
Space Phantom.
Right. Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Let me put it that way. I'm not opposed to it as a concept. My only concern is for the audience at large. But
I think most of their minds will have been opened up to these possibilities by that stage.
let's hope so. Because it would be awesome to see Thanos with an Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, like I was going to say, on the plus side, it would be kind of cool to see something like the aspect of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline in a movie. It'd just be kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if they really want to put him up against a real world-shaking threat, an alien invasion is always a good way to go, rather than, some supervillain that's just threatening America.
Oh,
Because
but
these
we
are
wouldn't.
the world's mightiest heroes,
Don't,
after all.
Yeah.
don't put that past us, though.
Well, I don't know.
Or don't put it past Americans to make a film about a world threat that only Americans can fix.
American.
Independence Day. Okay.
There's at least one Norseman in there.
Right. Well, good for him, I guess. So, okay. Very light
That's
news
about
this
it for
week.
news.
That's it.
Yeah.
So,
So quiet because we're coming up to con season again. It's like I said,
yeah, it's the lull before the storm. When is Comic-Con? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I don't know.
I don't
There
know.
probably won't be anything major announced at Comic-Con either, because Comic-Con is so much about films and TV and other media these days. Most of the announcements come on the heels of Comic-Con,
Right.
rather than at Comic-Con itself.
So, okay. Well, Triplet,
Yes.
you
Let's
get to
review
start
some
us off,
comics.
sir. Let's do some
Ooh.
comics this week.
That's some comics.
Good
Okay.
stuff this week. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, stuff is pretty good. I mean,
Thanks for, killing it, dude. I'm like, this is good stuff, and you're like, eh.
well, I think
kinda
that
meh.
there's, I think there's so many things that came out that I don't know. There's not one thing I think that stands out for me of the comics I was reading, but I don't know. Maybe FF. FF was pretty good.
FF is good. We're going to be talking about that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm going to talk about Amazing Spider-Man because that's what I do. I like Spider-Man.
Apparently.
So
I heard you say it one time.
yeah, one time. So this is the second part of the Avengers Academy storyline. Did you guys read it?
Oh, yeah.
I certainly did.
So what'd you think? Did you like it?
I thought this was good stuff. I mean, there's nothing mind-blowing, I don't know, I mean, per se, in this story. I mean, Christos Gage did a solid job on the story. I think the notes and the moments for me is what really, clicked as far as the main story in the issue. I think it took it to a darker place for the kids, and I think that it was really interesting to see how Peter would react to that, trying to bring them out of that, and then seeing really in a lot of ways mostly how they brought themselves out of it. So
Yeah, it was like you said, it was a good issue. Nothing major going on here. It's just basically, fighting Psycho Man and Spidey, believing in the Avengers Academy guys to break the control of Psycho Man over them. And just little moments like that, and, basically it's just a big fight because at the end of the last issue, Psycho Man has turned all of them against him. They're full with hatred for Spider-Man, I guess is what it is, and he's got to take them all on. And you would think, okay, so these are basically kids, so maybe he can take them, but no, these are some of the most dangerous kids on the planet.
Totally.
yeah, I mean,
That's why they're in Avengers Academy.
seeing the image of Vale strapped to that gurney and being manipulated and tortured or whatever, and she makes an excellent point in here about basically she kind of turns around because once she kind of regains her composure, she uses her sort of abilities to create I guess a smell sense sensation.
Yeah, she says that.
At least that's the implication, and that's what really kind of snaps everybody out of it, which I thought was really interesting. Vale's really interesting.
I keep telling you guys this shit.
Her power set is really interesting. I mean, that is just the ability to make any kind of sort of gas, smoke, scent, whatever you want. I mean, that's one of those things where initially you would be like, eh, but really that is interesting to see. So.
Yeah, I like these characters. I enjoyed the issue of Avengers Academy that I picked up. I think I only got one issue. I think I got the Taskmaster issue. I liked it. I would buy the book regularly, but I kind of feel like I'm so far behind that I can't get caught back up unless I buy trades.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get a trade on it.
Which I'm assuming they're in trades at this point, aren't they?
The first volume is out. The paperback is out very soon. I think it's within the next month, the paperback of the first 6. Then the next trade, the next collection is going to go up to about issue 14, I think, literally the most recent issue. That's out maybe in a month or two in hardback. It's not paperback yet. But, so if you want to think, I'll get the trade. Well, you could start with the very next issue. 14, it's a .1. It's a jumping on .1 issue.
Oh, wow.
So if
That's the
y'all
perfect
get that,
issue, then.
yep,
That's good
yeah,
stuff.
that's the next issue.
Yeah.
Get away at it.
And I think that to second that, I mean, I think if the idea here, which I assume it was one to give Slott some time to prep for Spider Island, and two, I think it was a good opportunity to give Gage a way to try to sell Academy, to a wider
They
audience.
want this book to succeed. Like, Avengers Academy an issue of that was reprinted in, what was it? Well, you remember
Was it a
the way
regular
that
Avenger comic? Was it like New Avengers or something, or something like
I can't
that?
even remember at this point. Was it an issue of Secret Avengers? Well, you remember how Heroes for Hire #1 was reprinted in the back of that issue of Avengers a couple of months ago.
Well, I mean,
Well, the first issue of Academy was reprinted in the back of something recently. So, Marvel do want to give this book, Academy, it's a book that deserves the attention, and I strongly recommend it to anybody. And these issues should hopefully be a really good, because, as much as this is still Spider-Man's book, and Gage is able to do that thing that I was talking about last time when we talked about this, which is like to really show you how Spidey will never give up on somebody, he's able to really give you a really strong overview of the Academy cast. They don't feel like they're just guest stars popping in, The story is sculpted around the basic ideas that drive Avengers Academy forward, and well, the fact that these are guys who have had to fight their own personal demons and could go down the wrong path, that's the whole reason this is happening in fiction, as well as the reason they're making the stories, because this is totally a path Spidey could have gone on. That's a darkness Spidey has faced. So the two things, they go together like chocolate and peanut butter. It's all
and I just like the connection with Osborn, because Osborn basically dicked him over, and he's dicked over Spider-Man, so they're kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's where I say, I think, I could see myself starting to get Academy now, So bravo, good job, Marvel, Gage, Slott on that.
That's what.
Can I ask a quick question about Reptile? Does he just turn into a dinosaur, or does he turn into other stuff?
He could turn into all kinds
other
of
reptiles.
dinosaurs.
Just dinosaurs.
Just various types. Not that one dinosaur that he just turns into this. He can turn into any and all types of dinosaurs.
He's a pterodactyl in one frame, I think, of him here somewhere.
Yeah,
he's inhibited by his mass, but after that recent story in Avengers Academy where he got to inhabit the body of his 30-year-old self, I believe the idea. I don't think he's quite started doing it yet. There was a reference. Anyway, he's going to start using Pym particles to grow and become full-size dinosaurs.
Oh wow,
cool.
Yeah.
So he'll be like the devil dinosaur of the group.
Oh, yeah. Reptile meets devil dinosaur. Who do I have to hit to make that happen? Let's Gage.
Nice. There's two backups in this. One, I don't know if you'd even call it a backup, but it's like a 2-page mini story, which is like the stage 3, the infestation.
It's more build up to Spider Island.
Right. So this is in the same line of the same one we kind of talked about last week, which was really, where the kid, shot ended up like breaking the other kid's head open or whatever. But in this one, it's a little bit different, where, this man has been infested, and their apartment or home or something, I guess apartment, is burning down, and he ends up saving his family, but the neighbors and stuff don't get out, and he certainly feels like remorse for them, but in the same breath, and it's all like his POV, in the same breath, he's sort of like, well, my responsibility is to my family, and it's interesting because it's that concept of that with great power comes great responsibility sort of on its head, and which is why this is titled Great Responsibility, because, and I think that is going to be maybe, I don't know, that'll be a central theme of this infestation, is what happens when a bunch of people that don't have the life experience that Peter Parker had, including and up to, his uncle's death, get Spider-Man's powers.
Yeah,
How would
I like these shorts. I think they're interesting, just getting these different characters. Like we get the one guy that, like the one you were talking about, where we thought it was going to be the kid that was being picked on, but it turned out it was the bully, and now the bully is being hunted by the cops, and now we've got the father figure who seems like a good guy, but he, like you said, he's devoted to his family, and he doesn't think that he needs to be taking the risk to go and help
Well,
other
that
people.
whole
So
idea of the whole narrative misdirection, like that we got from that one with the bully, like that factors in here as well. Because like on this first page, you just see the whirling silhouette, and I think the idea is that that you're supposed to think that this is the dad who's doing all of this leaping through fire and rescuing people. But then on the second page, hey, no, that's Spider-Man, and he's leaping out of an apartment building somewhere completely different and entirely. It's not even the same fire that this husband has pulled his family out of.
Yeah.
And people have died because he hasn't acted, whereas Spidey's up. It's just, and this is by the same artist. Yeah. This is by Emma Rios, who did Osborn.
Oh yeah. I thought that looked familiar. I thought that art looked
whirling fire and just sound and thunder. So yes.
God, she is brilliant. She really needs to do.
Yeah. She's drawing the Cloak and Dagger miniseries with Nick Spencer tying into Island. So I think
that's great. That is going to be good. So,
that's a strong creative.
So, we're pretty much looking forward to the Spider Island, whether it be good or bad at this point, right?
I think it'll certainly be interesting, and especially if they can keep this note. I think it'll be a nice, maybe side subject to the Fear itself, because I can see where that concept is going to maybe tie into some of the Fear itself as well. I'm
a little bit annoyed that Spider Island seems to have grown bigger than its britches. It's become a Shadowland or a Chaos War where there's a bunch of miniseries.
Please don't call it a Shadowland. Please.
No, wow.
Well, it's just thematically, we've got this Cloak and Dagger miniseries. There's going to be a Shang-Chi miniseries, and there's going to be. I care so little. I've forgotten what the third one is. But there is going to be a one-shot called Deadly Foes of Spider Island, which is going to have Gage, Slott, and Van Lente all working together.
Oh my God, that's like a dream. Yeah. Hey, Triplet, reset your video, would you, sir? That'd be awesome. Yeah,
I can do that.
And then the third follow-up in this is a sort of a. It's called The Choice.
The Choice.
Is this a pre-existing character? This magnetic.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I think the idea is that it is just. This is what happens to the little guys.
Random one-off. Anyway, I mean, this is a pretty basic story where this guy that made these magnetic gloves used them to rob banks, and then Spider-Man caught him, and he went to prison, and then served his time and pretty much played nice. Got out, then, the world sort of changed around him, and now that he's a ex-con, he can't get work, and he's having trouble at home, and, family problems, things like that. And he basically decides to turn back to crime. I mean, because it's the only thing that he knows. And as he's about to rob his first bank, out, just walking along the street is Peter Parker. And, they have a bit of an exchange where Peter's like, look, you probably don't want to do this. You're a smart guy. You made these gloves. Obviously, you've got some talent. I work for this place called Horizon Labs. Why don't you come work for me? Probably be getting coffee and stuff, but hey, it's a job, And, and this guy is just, like, overjoyed that someone is going to take a risk on him and, calls his wife and everything. And, and the guy tells Peter that he's thanks for helping him or whatever. And Peter's like, no, thank you for not, making me do something that I don't want to do. This isn't a new concept, though, for Spider-Man, right? I mean, we've seen short stories like this before. I seem to recall in the issues of Spider-Man that we make fun of, the ones where it's the holofoil on the front, that there was like a backup in one of those where it's like the nephew of the guy that had shot his uncle.
Leapfrog.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Different guy. But yeah, it was like the nephew.
You're talking about like the nephew of the burglar that shot his Uncle Ben. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's like this whole mini where like he catches the kid like after he stole a purse and like talks him into not, turning into a life of crime or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, this is even though there was kind of the implication here that Spider-Man just locks people up and stuff.
It's a very Bruce Wayne story. When I was reading it, I was thinking, dude, that's like an episode of Batman animated series or something where Bruce Wayne
I'm
gives
pretty sure Peter Parker can't go around giving people jobs at Horizon Labs. Like, I'm pretty sure he's just a dude that works there, doesn't have that kind of authority. It's a pretty pat little story. It's decent, but it's sure a hell of a lot decent than I would have ever expected to read from Frank Thierry.
Oh my god! Yeah, I saw Frank Thierry and I almost didn't read it. I almost
likewise. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, but then I saw there's a dude that's got magnetic hands, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try.
That'd be awesome. Though. Hey, but maybe it'll play in. Like maybe Peter will get a magnetic suit, like he needs it. But but I'm just saying he might. So, anyway.
It's a decent little story. It's thoroughly predictable from panel 1, really.
Yeah, I think so. But it is, but it's a final story. I think it's a nice alternative look at Peter that we don't always get,
Speaking of Spider Island in these backups, actually, it has been announced, or at least not so much announced as quietly revealed via solicitations, that Spidey's coming back down to being a 22-page book.
Aww.
Yeah. Well, and of course, the price isn't coming down with it.
Well, no. Of course not. There's something else I wanted of it. I can't think of what it was. Anyway, oh well. So, okay. Well, there you go.
But yeah, good book. I enjoyed it.
It was good.
Always.
Can't wait for next issue.
Well, and like I said, like 2 issues. Because now I've got Avengers Academy and more Spider-Man. So,
in fact, I believe 14.1 is out this week.
Oh man, thanks Marvel for taking more of my money.
Avengers Academy. It's only $3.
Oh, awesome! Very good.
That is good then.
The Avengers book's the only one.
So the next book I got, I just kind of want to touch on it for a minute, is Walking Dead, because I know we've been talking about Walking Dead a couple of times.
This is the one with the kid with the hole in his head.
Sorry?
This is the one with the kid with the hole in his head.
Yeah, it's the one with the kid with the hole in his head and zombies. Yeah.
That's awesome. What more could you ask for? A kid with a hole in his head and zombies.
They need to put that in the description, when you order from previews, it'll say oh yeah, this is the one with the zombies and the kid that has a hole in his head.
I took a look through this. I took a look through. I just leafed that issue the other day. I paused to look at the letters page. Oh my god! What
the letters are
of crying neckbeards.
Yeah, no, the letters themselves are kind of its own little story, and they're worth reading.
They're like internet fucking forum posts. Jesus, there's no screen in the image, obviously.
It is words, but really it's just like paragraphs of Q, 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 Q. Yeah.
I love that one of the letters actually, he just keeps going on, oh, he's dead, I hate you, you really hate your characters, and Cartman says, is this a haiku? Or is this just a letter written in the form of an instant message? So it's funny. He printed the letters. Okay. He printed the letters, but then he still addresses them. So it's entertaining. So the letters themselves were worth it just for that. But overall,
shot to death. It was okay when the newborn baby got shot mere hours out of life in, but killing Carl, no, that's too far, man. Yeah,
so it's okay when Carl kills another kid. Spoiler for
that was totally fine. It was totally. There's a letter in there that complains oh, I can't believe you did a double-page spread showing that. Yeah, what about the fucking double-page spread of little girls with their heads lopped off?
Oh yeah, about that, yeah.
Don't read Walking Dead for decency, Jesus Christ. What a bunch of whiny man children. Seriously. I have had my fill of whiny man children on the internet this week, and I just... let's talk about something serious.
I heard you quit something, too. That was...
I had to go and drop a podcast. No. Wow. I've actually gone a little blind with rage. One of my eyes drifted there.
Oh, that's not good. Somebody hit him in the head. Knock it back into place.
Yeah. But, other than, this is basically just, picking up the pieces from all the chaos and, the previous issues, not much is really going on. I mean, you basically got everybody that survived now has survivor's guilt. You've got like the characters that basically they're burning. There's like tons of bodies. Like it looks like that they've been burning bodies for like a whole day, and they're like not even a fourth of the way through the bodies yet. Because like in the last issue, they had like the big eye of the tiger moment when like they all went out into the street with Rick and they just started hacking them to pieces. And it was basically your tombstone moment when when Wyatt Earp goes out onto the to the river and he says no, and then he starts shooting everybody. I don't know.
Wow.
I know the scene. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Brian knows what I'm talking about if he's listening. But so now they're picking up the bodies and then burning the bodies, and then you're just basically getting like this is what the characters are, how they're dealing with it and how their lives are moving forward, and some characters their relationships are broken, and it always comes back to Rick and Carl, and Rick still waiting on Carl to wake up, don't know if he's dead or not. But basically the issue ends and it looks like that Carl's gonna be alive. He's gonna live. I mean, he wakes up, he makes a sound, and then it just ends. And so, I mean, I understand why they would, not do much in the issue, because, like, you've just, like, literally had, like, this huge battle, and you've had, like, all this crap go down, all these characters, that just got killed and everything. I mean, even, like, remember the girl that I said that Rick was kind of sweet on? There's even you see her zombie in this issue. Look at this. Oh, my God. That's gruesome.
Hand chopped off.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one where, Rick was trying to get through the zombies, and she got attacked by the zombie and wouldn't let Carl go, so he hacked her hand off so that she would let him go.
I would have thought just like whacking it the one time would probably have loosened the grip, Probably didn't have to take the whole thing. Well, probably didn't have to take the whole thing off.
Yeah, well, the hand didn't completely come off. It looks like it's like hanging off of
dangling on there. Well, all right then. That justifies the whole thing.
And you got this. Well, it's probably the best scene in the issue. You got this neat little scene where Glenn and Abraham's cleaning up bodies, and they notice her and they said, get rid of it before Rick sees it. He'll lose it or something. And Glenn can't do it, and so Abraham just shoots her in the head. So that's probably I'd say probably an interesting scene just because of what Rick did, and they don't actually know what Rick did. So actually, what's going on? What he did is something that only he knows. Which he does reveal to another character in the comic, the doctor that's taking care of Carl, which, that's going to open up crap, I guess, for future issues. So, a good issue, but it's, like I said, it's not like as good as interesting as the stuff that's been happening. It's like the lull period of Walking Dead, where it's going to be like 5 or 6 issues of nothing but just we survived and now we're going to keep on surviving, and then like something else.
And then some new people will appear, and everything will appear to be okay for a while, and then the new people will actually turn out to be dangerous, and then there will be zombies.
Yeah, you know how it works,
right? The series.
It's the formula that works.
Yeah, but yeah, man. That's Walking Dead.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I guess that's me. Wow. So here's what I've got. I'm actually reviewing 3 comics, but I'm going to do them simultaneously.
How dare you!
I know. And I'm going to try to keep this as concise and thorough and not brief and not crazy as possible. So I'm going to be talking about Green Lantern, Green Lantern Corps, and Green Lantern Emerald Warriors in one go, because this is part 6, 7, and 8 of War of the Green Lanterns.
One more part to go.
Yes, and there is one more part to go. This is not as War of the Green Lanterns-y as I expected, first off. I'm just going to say that.
No.
I expected it to be Green Lanterns fighting each other, and this is really like 4
Green Lanterns
humans
fight everybody else.
Yes, exactly. So, let's see. Last time our heroes were screwed. Okay. Basically,
When last we left our
heroes, Hal and Guy were trying to fight the entity-possessed Guardians, and Kyle and John were trying to save Mogo. Not much to say, I would say, about as far as this first part from just Green Lantern itself. I mean, we definitely see, there's the fighting with the Guardians themselves, which doesn't really get very far. I mean, as far as ability. Guy tries to use the gauntlet, and that doesn't go very well at all, because he had the original, Green Lantern ring sort of gauntlet. There's a middle sequence in this which is interesting, where Sinestro is inside the Book of the Black, and, maybe has sort of like not an actual flashback, but a sort of memory or something, where he was a Green Lantern, and then remembers that he is actually, remembers essentially everything. Because in this he was sort of memory locked to that point. And he starts tearing his way through the book, and he sees the other leaders of the other corps, if you will, images and memories of their lives. Which is interesting because there's one memory of Lar Fleas where they're in some sort of like prison or something, and they're fighting over food. And
there's a lot of interesting memories, I thought.
Well, I mentioned that. Well, we've seen the one of St. Walker because we saw St. Walker's origin. So that's an image straight out of St. Walker's origin that we've already seen. The image from Atrocitus is, again, out of Secret Origins. We've seen that. There's an image of... he ends up in the one for Indigo 1. And it's sort of what we had suspected, but we didn't really know for sure. Where she seems to be some sort of vicious, ruthless criminal that's in some sort of prison, and has a brief exchange with Sinestro as he's sort of coming through the book, and her final comment is, "Take me with you. I'll do whatever you wish." But yeah, she's really screwed up. Like she seems really mean and screwed up. And there's even a comment in here about how the compassion is not, their driving element. But Sinestro manages to make it to the front page. Are we supposed to imply here? Have you seen this, McFeely? Did you read this?
I believe I did. Remind me.
This image where Corona burns the page that Sinestro is on. Are we implying that he killed him there, or?
I don't.
I think so too, but that seemed to be odd. Anyway, what's revealed here, though, the important thing out of this issue is Corona's sort of master plan, which is to turn the human Green Lanterns into the new Guardians. Which doesn't make a damn bit of sense, but that's what he's doing anyway. I think his theory is that because the humans are good with the motions, that they would make good Guardians, but I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, on to the second issue, which is far more interesting. From Green Lantern Corps. Highlights out of this. Now we're back. This story, the nice thing about splitting them up is we got a nice story from Guy and Hal, and then we got this great story from John and Kyle, which split it up because before it was just like trying to follow everybody, which was just insane. Triplet, come back. Sorry, we lost Triplet for a second, but that's okay because I'm talking. So they're trying to stop Moga. They've got two problems with Moga. One, Mogo sending out a bitch ton of rings to very much anybody who they'll
That's
go
the
to.
technical term, I believe.
Right, bitch ton of rings, for which John sort of channels Green Lantern energy and tries to make a big cap to put over the tunnel where they're coming out of.
Because that's what you do with Green Lantern. You make a big cap.
Make a big cap, and that doesn't work at all.
No.
Not a bit. So they decide to go into Mogo's core to try to turn him around from there. That doesn't go very well either, as they encounter a crap ton of Green Lanterns on the way down. But Kyle does manage to sort of figure out the healing thing that the Blue Lanterns can do.
Yeah, he can fix their minds so they're not crazy anymore, right?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, he kind of does that to one of them. I don't know if that works on the whole group of them, but he does it to one of them. And that'll be important later. So they get to Mogo's core, which is basically just this energy ball thing with a ring in it. And Kyle tries to heal that. That doesn't go very well. Because the core is also corrupted by the Black Lantern energy, because during Blackest Night, Mogo absorbed Black Lanterns into his core, but he never expelled them later, which is probably a really bad idea on his part, and we're going to know why here in just a minute. So our heroes are faced with a difficult choice. They're sitting in the core. Kyle's hurt. John doesn't really have any powers unless he channels powers. Mogo's still sending out a ton of rings. They're eventually going to take over the universe with all these new Green Lanterns. Wonderful full-page spread here that ends with basically John in sort of this Atlas pose as he feels the weight of the universe on him, which I think is pretty common for John. He's known for, in previous aspects, he's sort of taken responsibility on himself and sort of does feel the weight, I think, of the universe. Probably unnecessarily. So, John makes a decision. And what he does is he pulls all the Black Lantern energy, or pulls at least a good portion of it, because basically they've got a bunch of Green Lanterns bearing down on them. So they're going to either die from the Green Lanterns, or Mogo's going to kill them. It's not going to be good. So John pulls all of the Black Lantern energy in and uses his big frickin' gun to make a death gun and pulls an Alderon on Mogo. Blows him to smithereens. Beautiful. Beautiful spread there. Yep, Triplet's got it for me. Yeah.
I'm so glad it wasn't Kyle. When you told me somebody was dying, I was like, if Kyle dies...
Triplet hadn't read it yet, and I was like, well, somebody
If
died.
Kyle dies, I'm dropping Green Lantern Corps. I said that, and I was going to stand by that.
But and what's really great is so it's the last panel is Mogo exploding, and when you turn the page, like the first thing in the letters page is Mogo, 1985 to 2011. And, like, just this basically.
He'll probably be fine.
I don't know. He's in a lot of little bits. It's gonna be tough.
I'm sure his consciousness was preserved somehow.
Maybe. I don't know. They may.
Ooh! Put Mogo in a robot, in an Alpha Lantern. Oh my God!
Mogo robot.
Mogo robot.
Mogo Robo.
So finally, we get to Emerald Warriors here, where again, so we get back to Hal and Guy wrapped in these Guardian bandages, trying to be turned into Guardians. And as Mogo explodes, it sends out this sort of psychic shockwave, which basically incapacitates pretty much everybody other than our four heroes. And bits of Mogo start raining down on Oa, which is also awesome, because they're like, what's a meteor shower? No, that's bits of Mogo. Poor Kyle tries to clump bits of Mogo back together. It's like sort of like a Humpty Dumpty process where he tries to put Mogo back together. Poor Mogo. Anyway, and then Kyle and Hal bitch out with the Book of the Black and Ganthet. And then there's a lot of talking, and they make it to the battery, try to use their powers on it, doesn't work. Then Ganthet gets the bright idea that they have to use the other two power rings that they have not been using.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yes. So they throw, Hal gets the orange ring, and Guy gets the sapphire ring, which he complains about momentarily, but doesn't change his uniform very much. And they all...
red and pink, you know?
Yeah, it's red and pink. And
they really need rings on, like, every finger. They need, like, one guy to have, like, all the rings.
I mean, yeah, like...
That's where it was gonna go, you know?
Yeah, really, like, one, like, superpowered dude. So, anyway, but that gets interrupted, and they don't get Parallax out of the battery just yet. No, that's gonna take Guy, because he's got the two, sides of the spectrum, I guess. He's got the red and the sapphire. And so he has to figure out what he loves and what he hates. And he's trying to figure out, he's like, well, I love this girl and I hate my dad, is like the first thing he comes up with. And that doesn't work.
I love pizza, but I hate rainy days.
Right, yeah, I mean, basically. But what he finally figures out is that he hates being angry and he loves the core. And that works. He unloads on the battery and manages to break out Parallax, frees the rest of the core, but then he realizes he's toast, and they all get their green rings back, except Guy realizes he can't take his red ring off because he's going to die. And conveniently, Kyle heals him, and we get back to a status quo to bring the series to a conclusion as the rest of the Green Lantern Corps is posed to fight Corona and the infested Guardians. And that's going to conclude in Green Lantern 67.
Cool.
So there you go. I don't know. I think there's interesting moments in here, but I'll definitely say that it's not what I expected out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
No Sinestro Corps War.
Oh, God, no.
No. I mean, I definitely expected... I mean, based on the title again, I expected something to be more of, like, Green Lanterns fighting each other, and there's not much of that. I don't know. I'm kind of over the entities, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was over them, like, after they found the first one.
You know? Maybe. Yeah, and there is a lot of, like, Deus Ex, in here with, like, Kyle, like, oh, okay, you're healed. And,
But I really like the stuff in the book where you get like the memories of Larfleeze and Indigo. That stuff was interesting. That's been
I
probably
would
my
assume
favorite
that
parts.
the remaining mysteries behind like the Indigo and Orange Lanterns are going to have to be the subject of the next story. Because I mean this is the culmination of just everything that they've been doing since Blackest Night ended. So literally the last year. This is the culmination of the last year of Green Lantern and the hunt for the entities. And there's really nothing dangling now except for
those
whatever
stories.
the deal is with Larfleeze and Indigo.
Well, do you think...
Yeah.
I mean, well, now, there is... Did we talk about this last week? There is maybe a bit of news out of that, because did we mention last week that the rumor is that the entire DC universe is going to change?
Yeah, we did talk about that.
So
briefly.
if they do that, I mean, are we expecting that some of this Green Lantern stuff might change as well? Or
Right, no.
Okay.
Just no, okay? If they reboot shit to number one, it's not because they're fucking resetting time or anything. They're not Jeff Johns is not throwing out everything he's done with plot threads still dangling. I would be very surprised if it was some kind of line-wide rebooting to number one. I mean, though it's obvious something is going on. I mean, Green Lantern isn't even out in July.
So,
There's a Corps and the Warriors are, but there's a War of the Green Lanterns Aftermath is out instead of an actual issue of Green Lantern.
what are the odds that we're going to see, like, just a Lantern Corps comic that covers, like, the other...
Well, we've been talking about this Red Lantern Corps comic for a long time now. They've been saying that's going to happen.
Is it still coming out? Because I haven't heard anything new from it.
They keep saying a Flash family title is going to come out, but we don't seem to be any closer.
Yeah.
Pardon me to that, belching with rage.
Did I hear that Johns is taking over Superman?
I did not hear that.
I thought somebody said
No, I haven't heard
Well,
that.
they've revealed absolutely nothing about what's coming after
I
Flashpoint. So
thought somebody said on Twitter, like someone from DC or something mentioned that Johns might be taking over Superman. I don't know if that was an offhanded comment or not. But he may be the only person that could save Superman at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he fixed Flash, he fixed Green Lantern, maybe they need him to fix...
I would say Paul Cornell would be the person that could save Superman, but Lex Luthor's no longer in Action, and the new issue of Action is not what I would say good. Yeah.
So.
It's a bunch of Superman, bunch of Doomsday, and yeah.
So, how was that? Was that concise enough coverage for you for War of the Green Lanterns for covering 3 books? Come on. I think... No?
sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it hit the highlights. Like I said, I'm interested to see how it's going to end up. I mean, I'm really curious how they're going to kill Kyle at this point.
Shut up!
Although I do have to say, they've really put it into a position where I'm kind of afraid they might kill off John.
Well, I don't know. That's another dead planet on John's conscience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's like, man, that may be the only way to
That's
really
almost
atone.
comical, actually, at this point.
Yeah.
I know, like, he's got this habit of killing
Oh,
planets.
John killed another planet. Oh,
But that's...
Oh, he'll become the planet killer. He'll become
Can
the new
you-
villain that they have to take down.
Can you imagine, though, my nerd rage and others if they kill off John? Like, I understand that a lot of people like Kyle and all, but for DC to kill off another minority character if they kill off John, I mean, people are going to tear the building down.
Honestly, because I read more of Kyle, I'll be more pissed off if they killed off Kyle. I would be pissed off if they killed John, but way more if they killed
I
off.
think more individual people would be pissed off because of the character if they killed Kyle, but it'd probably be louder because of the because of who John, the Black Green Lantern, if he died, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, I think.
Like, is everybody really sad that Ryan Choi died?
Gail Simone is sad.
Well, Gail Simone is sad. Yes, okay. And Ryan Choi was a good character, but got cancelled for a reason. Nobody.
He still lives in the Brave and the Bold world.
I think the larger question is who cares about the Atom, regardless of who that character is.
Yeah.
I mean, who the guy is.
Yeah, who cares that but it's like the rage is there because they killed the Asian Atom to bring back the old white guy Atom who they've done nothing with.
Right. So it's like it seemed that's where to me it seems pointless. Like it didn't really serve a purpose to do that. Those characters could have existed simultaneously.
No, but JD, Deathstroke's team had to make a statement.
Yeah. what was that statement? We're hardcore? I don't know.
Yeah.
Great. So, anyway, okay. Well, there you go, McFeely. Take it over. What do you got?
Okay. What have I got? First thing I'm talking about today is Secret Avengers. There's a very specific reason I'm talking about this. This is the first, it's not after issue 12.1, the .1 issue. This is author Nick Spencer, he of Morning Glories, Iron Man 2.0, Thunder Agents and more. First full issue on the book. Now, he's just writing it for the duration of its Fear Itself crossover, so I believe that is only about 3 issues, sadly. And it looks like these are going to be perhaps like one-shot stories based in and around Fear itself. This issue follows on from Fear itself number 2, where the Nazi war machine is crushing Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And Beast, Ant-Man, and War Machine go into hell. So, hey, point 1, Steve Rogers, not in the comic.
Yep.
Hey.
I don't have anything against Steve Rogers, but to take him out of the comic, where the primary complaint most readers had was that he was just dominating the comic and it was Steve Rogers and his avenging friends, we're off to a good start. The point 1 issue was all about Steve, but the fact that it actually cleverly involved the rest of the team doing things that only they could do. This is a Beast issue, and who doesn't love Beast?
Exactly. And he's in the X-Men movie, so they had to have him in the comics.
Yeah,
right.
It is a very talkative issue.
Yeah.
Because, the battle is raging, and we jump back and forth to War Machine and Ant-Man as they just sort of fight the fight outside. Whereas Beast is called away from the fight because he's called to, now, I don't know my America, so in the what is it, the Congress building? What do they call that? Is that what they call it? Wherever Congress meets, they're in there.
Yeah, that's the Capitol building.
Yeah, I thought that's what
Does that exist?
I did.
Wait, is that the one that was blown up and the first thing of...
We're getting to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see. It's very strategically built. So
you mean this was like there was an editor that may have overseen some of this?
I believe it was probably more due to the writer himself. Because an old friend of Beast's named, what's his full name? Well, his name is Leonard. Leonard Gary. He is he's an old friend of Beast's who made it to Congress. He doesn't get to take the floor very often. He was a staunch anti-mutant guy back in the early days. But he's an old man now. He doesn't get to take the floor very often, and he had finally got his chance to get up there and be heard whenever the attack came, and so Congress was evacuated. But he is refusing to leave the building because proper proceedings were not called to an end. It's all still technically in session, so he refused to step down, even though now he has his chance. So it's a very talky issue, as he and Beast just talk about good old stuff. And the importance of thing and how much they're great. And look, the reason I'm talking about this issue is
there's something awesome.
I'm not. This is completely shallow. Okay, but I know. You see, he's laughing already. It's awesome. We'll just wait for it. Okay.
We'll just show it at the same time.
Oh well, we gotta. Yeah, I think. Well, Beast says, I'm sorry, we have to get out of here. The mall won't hold much longer. Leonard says, you always were a gloomy fellow, weren't you, Henry? I wouldn't give up just yet. Don't you know why they never gave us one of those initiative teams? Washington, D.C. can take care of itself. Cut 2. There's a panel of the Lincoln Memorial. Its feet. Cut 2. Long panel of the battle raging on. Cut back 2. Lincoln Memorial. Foot has moved ever so slightly. I say to myself, oh God, no, but wait. Giant stone robot Lincoln, Nazi puncher.
No freaking way.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome.
The Lincoln Memorial gets up and starts punching Nazi robots. Then, all the shit in the Smithsonian comes to life. Dinosaurs, biplanes, figurines of Indians all come pouring out to join the fight. Then, the ghost of George Washington comes out of his monument and commands, what is it? I don't know, everybody from Arlington or something rises up and he orders them into battle.
It's awesome.
No fucking way.
Totally way.
What started as a comic, which I thought, it's going to be like one of those issues. We're going to get like he's standing for something, and he's going to, something's going. No, and then it turns into freaking Lincoln Monument walking.
Nazi puncher.
Wow. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that.
I think you need to be buying Secret Avengers, is what I think.
I at least needed to buy this issue. Jeez.
It is all very strongly implied that this is the work of Leonard, who is secretly a mutant, and he's hidden his mutant identity, and he's using his powers to make these things happen.
I would hope so.
Yes. I would be perfectly happy to believe that they have a giant stone robot Lincoln sitting in the middle of Washington.
If Grant Morrison was writing it, that would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, absolutely. That would just be something they had.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as that fight's outside, the Beast says, you're not staying here to fight. You're not fighting to stay here. You're staying here to fight. And he says, no, you've got it all wrong. To stay here is to fight. And so Beast and the Secret Avengers tap into the Worldwide Communications Network, and they broadcast Leonard finally getting his chance to speak out to the world. And then I got to the end, and he just recites the... What is this?
It's Lincoln's.
Yeah, but what is it? Come on, you should know.
The Gettysburg Address.
Yeah,
Fourscore. Yeah, Fourscore. The Gettysburg Address. I'm not American. I'm allowed. It's you're a bad person.
That's right. We got it. Hey.
Anyway, it's at that point that I kind of go, whatever, and he literally does spend 2 pages just reciting it over scenes of battle. And then, as you say, JD, it's a spoiler for the end of the issue, but you've already blown it for us. Yes, then the building blows up and he dies with it, and the signal is lost, and that's it. Good work, Len.
That sucks. That was
awesome. It's a very melancholy ending. I mean, he's happy to stand there and do it and get his chance to speak and get his chance to fight. He dies for what he believes in, basically. I mean, that's
a very American thing to do,
That, as someone who is not American, the whole thing is a little bit America, fuck you.
Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing more American than dying for what you believe in.
Exactly.
The thing, I kind of went, but the thing that stopped me from, really saying anything bad about it, the sentiment behind what the guy is saying is still true, even if he does choose the overly American way of just reciting the words of Abraham Lincoln as the statue finishes punching Nazis and sits back down in its chair.
Yeah.
To do, so a very talkative issue, which is, suddenly really, it's not bad for being talkative, but otherwise they are just debating theologies. They are just saying, oh, you should fight. Oh, no, you marched with King. Oh, you did more of these. Yeah. I'm just a small town senator from Mississippi. I'm just a simple country lawyer. That sort of stuff.
One thing before we leave this issue that I wanted to bring up that I thought was kind of interesting was that so Beast has been friends with him for like several years. This is going back like a long time, and he makes the little comment. I think at some point that the reason that all those anti-mutant bills never got passed is because he was basically voting against them and stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, he was up there basically fighting for them and stuff, and I thought that was really cool.
The character slipped fairly unintrusively into Beast's past. Beast as a character, there's for a man who's really walked in society, in corporations, and walked the corridors of power the way Beast has from time to time. It's something that can slip in fairly neatly. And I mean, I would probably rank the issue a lot lower if that part at the middle didn't come, where all of American history just comes to life and beats up the Nazis. But I definitely
so
a good
awesome.
issue.
I want that as my desktop now.
I want to say, I want to maybe not big it up as much as all that, because it's how talkative it is and just how kind of dry it is all around it. But dude, the Lincoln Memorial came to life.
There was some good lines with like Ant-Man in here.
Yeah.
I remember him basically we're dead, dude. We're dead. Like, you don't want to tell your lady friend you were in that battle dead,
So the Lincoln Memorial gets up and Ant-Man just looks up at it and just goes,
it goes, dude.
Wow.
It's the appropriate response.
Yeah.
So
it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I mean, oh my God.
I mean, after reading the first half of the issue, it really didn't seem like it was going to be particularly fun, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I've made a bit of misjudgment here with this. This is a bit dry, but then I'm thinking, Nazis. So, that. Yeah, Nick Spencer, keep that mad shit up, please.
Yes,
sir.
please.
The sentiment behind it is true that even if you're not American, I think like the meaning of the thing will not offend you. And dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Now, the second thing I'm going to talk about today is something a little bit different. I kind of wish Nicole was here this week, because I wonder if she would have read this, and if she hadn't, it's the sort of book she would have appreciated. It is Strange Adventures, one shot from Vertigo this week. Utterly fucking defaced by this horrible Green Lantern banner.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But, yeah, across the top of a Vertigo book, really? This is an 80-page anthology with no ads. It's aspiring to try and be something more. They plaster this fucking baby poop Green Lantern banner across the top of it, just like egg, seriously. But anyway, 80 pages with no ads, barring, I should say, but there may literally be one or two ads, literally, and I think a 5 or 6 issue preview of the Search for Swamp Thing miniseries coming up at the very end. So you're getting something like about 74 pages of stuff, 74 pages of content. It does bear a rather hefty $8 price tag.
Oh.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 short stories by people you will heard of and by people you won't have. And I will give you a quick blow through them all right now. The first story is by Selwyn Hines, with art by Dennis Cohen. It is named Case 21, and is the story of a dystopia, a multi-layered technical dystopia, one of those Blade Runner type things, where the lower down the levels you go. But it's a world where the stock market defines society and everything you live and do, and it's controlled through tattoos that everybody has on their bodies.
Ooh.
A woefully obvious twist doesn't completely derail the story, but does kind of take the wind out of the sails at the end, whenever the end of the story is apparently presented as if you weren't supposed to have figured it out, and it was insufferably obvious. I'm not going to blow all the twists in this, because these are real, like, EC Comics, like 1950s, oh, there's a twist in the story kind of stories, so I'm not going to blow any of the twists in these if anybody wants to check them out. The second story is called The White Room, written by Talia Hirshu, and with artist by Juan Babilo. And I like Juan Babilo. He was the artist on most of Dan Slott's She-Hulk. And he delivers a rather painted look for this issue. Hold that up there if you can see it. It's full on watercolor paints that he's done this issue, and it is a story of, again, most of these are some kind of future, because this is Strange Adventures. This is a sci-fi anthology. I'm a huge fan of space and sci-fi. This is mostly like alternate futures and stuff, and this is the story of a drug substitute called the White Room, where people become addicted to these hollow sweets that allow you to live out all your fantasies and everything. And in this story, each of these stories is like 8 pages long, 8 to 10 pages long. They're pretty punchy short stories, This is a girl who accidentally, the room malfunctions or something comes out of her subconscious. It goes wrong for her. and she's forced, and it leads her into experiencing real emotion, which is something that most of society has given up because they can have anything they want out of these rooms. The third story, and in my opinion the best in the book, is one called Partners by Peter Milligan, with art by Sylvian Savoya. And this is one of those ones that where the twist really works. It's two guys living out in the forests, deliberately having separated themselves from society. They're not living like hermits or anything. These are two guys who one day decided, we must go. And the mystery is why. And what more can I say without blowing this? Well, basically, what are the characters' names? Let me get their names so I can make sure I spell this out right. The narrator of the story is... oh my god. Hold on. Hold on. The narrator of the story is named Daniel. And he begins the story by saying, sometimes I will kill Aaron. And Aaron is his friend. And it will quickly become apparent, one or two pages in, that Daniel is Aaron's imaginary friend.
Oh, crap!
these are teenage boys, you know.
Oh, that actually adds a lot to it now.
Oh, but that's, you see, the reason I'm telling you that is because of where the whole thing goes. So they decide to go. They go to this place that Aaron's cousin found. An ancient crevice in rock face, where Aaron's cousin swears he and his imaginary friend went through, and when they came out the other side, his imaginary friend was real. And so they decide to go through too. But when they come out, the question of which one is the friend rises up, and is not quite clarified by the story's end. It is a good little story. The next one is All the Pretty Ponies by Lauren Bukes and art by Inaki Miranda, which is another one of... This is a story of how high society starlets and big people in the entertainment industry use a technology called Mind Ride to project their mind... Well, not to project their minds, to share the experiences of other people. So people who have sold themselves into this service, they wear these headsets as they go around their daily lives, and these people tap in to experience life at the bottom of the pile, just like really, scummy, top of the line, high society people who want to see how the other half lives. Unfortunately, something goes horribly wrong, and I'll say no more than that. Next is by Ultra the Multi-Alien, The Life and Death of Ace Arn, which is story and art by Jeff Lemire, who is the creator of the Vertigo book Sweet Tooth. This is the second best story in the book, I would say. Ultra the Multi-Alien is an old classic Silver Age DC character who was formerly an astronaut called Ace Arn, who was zapped by aliens from 4 different worlds with replicating rays that transformed him into the 4-part Ultra the Multi-Alien. There he is. If you don't know him, 1/4 of each of his body is from a different alien race.
Huh.
Yeah. It's a very Silver Agey concept.
No.
But... This is actually the story. This story is entirely about him sitting in a spaceship, sitting in his old spaceship. It's presented as a man whose consciousness is quartered, and there's only a little nugget of the man he once was in the center, who slips away day by day by day. The being that he was is something else falls away from him. So it's a very introspective little story as he recounts his history and the way things are just falling away from his mind, and the one thing that he can return to do, to experience the one connection he had, lost out in space, the one connection he has left to the life that he had before. A good one.
Nice.
Then we got Refuse, with story by Ross Campbell, which starts out like it might be quite interesting. It's about a woman who's a hoarder, who, one of those people who will never throw anything out, so she lives in abject squalor. Yep. And how her family, her children have been taken away from her because she lives in... And she's obviously got mental problems. She can't bring herself to do all of these. But sadly, the story then just degenerates into something to create a grotesque image. When she is pricked in her side by a sharp piece of rubbish when she's trying to clear up, and the wood develops into a hideous, festering pustule. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to show you any of this on the video, but I'm not going to spoil the ending. But the story, after about 2 pages of seeming like it might be quite interesting, it's just there to create a disgusting visual, and that's as far as it goes.
That seems like some of those monster stories like they used to do. It's like some sort of moral or something.
Yeah.
Tasty. A rather good little one that follows up. Now, what was the title of this one? The Postmodern No, that's not the title of it. That's the name of the bar in the story. No, Postmodern Prometheus by Kevin Colden tells the story of a genetic experiment who escapes from his laboratory and tries to live out his life, all the while being pursued by his creators. A fairly standard thing with a neat little twist in the end, and I suppose the twist of it is also that it's all done in first-person narration as a flashback. He's sitting in a bar telling his tale to somebody, and it's all done through first-person narration, and he escapes with a female from the same facility, and they fall in love, and they try and make themselves a little family, but they are hunted at every turn. It's fairly straightforward, but it's not a happy story. Paul Cornell then delivers the next one, a true story from Saucer Country. I'm not sure what was going on here, to be completely honest with you. It's the story of George Adamski, the famous, alien sighter, the man who told all the stories of UFOs back in the 50s. And it's a not entirely linear retelling, in brief, of his life that does not really be a story. It just seeks to raise the question of whether he was telling the truth or not. It's an odd little one.
No, that's easy. Okay.
And then the story is rounded out by Spaceman by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Riso, which I believe is going on to become a series maybe from Vertigo, because it says featuring the first chapter of the new series Spaceman here on the cover. It's fine. There's definitely the gem of an interesting idea in here. Well, it's set in some kind of horrible world where it seems, I think, nearly all the dialogue in this is a strange jargon. So I didn't have too much trouble understanding it, but I've read a few reviews from people they couldn't quite follow it. Let's see. I'll just find a sampling. I'm odd though, Bubba. You unawares of the Saturday about to go junk on the city? Was where, Brad? They say it 'cause all the sea doubled and the atmosphere ain't so dense. So, it's called Garbage Man because it's the story of a guy who salvages junk from the ruined world after the polar ice caps have melted. And the Sadie is a satellite that's about to come crashing down on the city, which he is out to salvage to try and make some money off of. Intercut with this is news reports talking about a 20-year-old secret NASA experiment to genetically engineer children so that their bodies would be fit to survive the rigors of a manned journey to Mars. And I think the implication is supposed to be that our lead character is one of these children, but it isn't, hence the title Spaceman, because the other person that he communicates with in this story is never seen. He's just over whatever the futuristic equivalent of a ham radio is. He's another junker out there doing it. And then something explodes at the end, and I really don't get it. I honestly don't. I'm not entirely clear, like, if an Apache helicopter comes in, drops a missile, there's an explosion. Our lead character is not dead, so I genuinely don't know. I don't know. I think maybe the government blew up the satellite before it hit the Earth, so he wasn't able to get it and wouldn't get any money. I'm honestly not sure. It's not. It doesn't inspire me to pick up the series or anything. There's the germ of an interesting idea in there with the genetically engineered children, but it does seem to mostly be set up. And I could penetrate the jargon, but I'm imagine some people might not. And that's the last story in there. So, as a total see, I like anthologies, and I like those 1950s EC Comics horror-style twisty stories. So, I saw this, and I also, this wasn't the cover in previews. It had Ultra the Multi-Alien on it. I was like, fuck, is that Ultra the Multi-Alien? I'm going to take that. Check that. I must be the only person who would have that reaction. Never having read an Ultra the Multi-Alien story, it's just the concept of doing something with something so kitsch. There are, I like, artistically, it's a really, great package from start to finish. It's some very nice artistic and varied work, from the nice watercolors of Juan Babilio to there's what I would call, European stylings in there. There's Jeff Lemire's thing. There's all sorts. There's nothing too standard in here, It's all very nice to look at. The best stories, as I say, are the Milligan one partners and the Ultra the Multi-Alien ones, with at least half of the others being worth reading and the others just being a little odd, or perhaps just missing the mark altogether. I couldn't say that the whole package was really worth your $8. You do get a lot of content. It's 70-odd pages. It's you get a lot of content, but I think there are probably more hits than there are misses, but I don't know if it's worth you plunking your whole $8 down on. If you can get a chance to look at it in some capacity, at least check out the Milligan story. But I don't know that I could say to spend $8 on the whole thing. An interesting experiment, but one that is perhaps not as successful as Marvel's Strange Tales series recently. Strange Adventures. That is something different for you for this week.
Cool.
Nice.
We like different.
Yeah, we try to do different. When we can.
I thought, hey, there's something different. It's got Ultra the Multi-Alien in it. I can talk about it.
There you go. I did not know about that. So, there you go. So, that brings us to the beginnings of the War of the Four Cities.
Yeah, it does!
We're finally there. We feel I'm just going to let you go on this, sir. I don't know what to do.
Isn't this?
This is such your baby.
Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, or FF, the FF number 4, because we had 2 issues this month. The Beating of Drums. Art by this is by Barry Kitson rather than Steve Epting, but I'm assuming that's so they could meet the 2 issues a month schedule. And this issue picks up with all the villains who have been invited to attend the conference on how to defeat Reed Richards. But before we get diving into that, we get a little Sue Storm in the kitchen scene making sandwiches for everybody while Spider-Man watches. And this is just another one of those moments where Hickman just gets it,
Yep.
Spider-Man just delivering humorous commentary over the Invisible Woman cutting all the crusts off the sandwiches for all the children. And that's the one with a knife made out of invisible force field.
Yeah.
Whenever writers or artists even are smart enough to have characters using their powers in really naturalistic ways around just in their ordinary life. And the Fantastic Four is a group that I find writers are able to get that most often with. I like it, particularly with the Fantastic Four, whether it's Johnny you just welding something with his finger instead of a device, or whether it's Reed stretching his eye into a weird shape so we can see something better. Things like that I like, and an invisible force field knife is nice. Yeah. And it also touches really upon how Sue is reacting to the whole thing, because we saw Ben had his big storm out last issue over the whole thing, and this is Val saying, you know what, this is Sue saying, I'm really not happy about this, but I kicked all them dudes' asses. So
yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of scary people in there, and I smoked them all.
Yeah.
Through the years, I've beaten every one of them over and over, badly. So tell me. And then we join our Council of Doom.
That is so awesome. I love that.
Council of Doom, around a big circular table. It might as well have Doom's face drawn on it. And this is picking up after Val has finished retelling the story of where the Reeds went last issue. And Reed is not happy. You know, I really like this as well, because Reed loses the rag with Valeria, and it's like, it's about time somebody did. Stop that. Don't act like that. Don't act like the first thing you did wasn't trying to cover up your mistake and telling me what happened. And it's like, and then she's so smart with her little voice. I figured they would have expected me to do that, so I did the other thing.
And dude's like, yes, the better thing.
And so everybody then finally sits down to start talking about it, and you know, there's could Hickman just write the Mad Thinker forever?
Every time. This is brilliant. This is like, okay, if just to, like, in my head, this sounds like the scene from Princess Bride with
inconceivable.
yes, where it's just like, aha, but you knew if I would have switched, then it would have, and it's just like, brilliant.
I mean, I've always liked the Mad Thinker conceptually, like as a guy who no superhuman powers, just a guy who plans for absolutely everything with the power of his own human mind. And it's never even occurred to me to see him this. I mean, the more he rambles in this, the more I almost get the impression that, Hickman has just pulled this characterization out of thin air, you know, just as he has the Wizard with his new religious fervor, which was introduced. The Wizard was in the very first Hickman issue, this religious fervor that he's developed, believing he's on a mission from God. But you almost get the feeling like the Mad Thinker has had some random event foil his plans like one too many times, and something snapped. Mm-hmm. Diabolos says, we concentrate on weaknesses. Maybe we find out who their Susans are. Maybe we find out what they love and take it from them. Use it to bargain with them. Make them our possessions. Maybe we take their children. And the Mad Thing is like, no, obvious, expected opening. No, there's something we're missing. There's always something the overlook wants us to think his weakness is his problem. It's why he shows it to us. And as he knows that we know it, and that's why he's showing it to us, precisely because it worries me, but showing us, he's letting us know that it isn't a weakness at all. We have to be very careful. We don't overlook something. It's like, we'll overlook something, we can't overlook something. It's like, shit, I've done that too many times, and it's broken him in some way.
Yeah.
I just love this, you know. I mean, maybe it works better in this ensemble, it's just one of the ideas that he's peppered. Of course, now, anybody who's been reading Hickman's Arab also knows exactly where this is going after what Diablo has said, where Reed stands up and says, yeah, but they don't have friends or families. They've cut everything else out of their life except their mission. This is I am not them. If you've come together to find out ways to beat me, my weaknesses are not their weaknesses. They have already cut the weaknesses that I have out of their life. You know, They are both.
Yeah.
Brief interlude outside with Thing and Bentley, the young wizard clone who's playing, I guess it's dart tag with Leech and Artie and Franklin, and he just hits Ben between the eyes with a rubber dart and comes up to him and goes, "You're now dead." And he basically worms his way into Ben's mind and convinces him that maybe he shouldn't be around anymore. And Ben decides to take a few days off. And then the other kids come up and plant Bentley with darts. Now, the only reason I really bring up the fact that they've planted him with darts is the recurring motif of toy guns that keeps cropping up with Franklin and the younger characters. I don't think it's been too obvious recently. Something that gets overlooked, and I don't think we've really brought it up on here, is that Hickman's Fantastic Four run actually started with the Dark Reign Fantastic Four miniseries. It happened before he started writing the series regularly, introduced the bridge that Reed would use to communicate with the other Reeds. And in it, Franklin and Val were basically left to defend the Baxter building while the Fantastic Four got sucked through the bridge and were sent through a load of different iterations of themselves, while Norman Osborn and the forces of Hammer were trying to break into the building and steal and repossess the technology. And at the very end of that miniseries, Franklin in full cowboy regalia, pointed a toy red-capped, red-plugged toy gun at Osborn, and it fired and wounded him in the shoulder.
Huh.
Which was our first real hint that Franklin's powers were on the way back, which is something we've seen come to fruition over the course of Hickman's run. But the recurring motif leans with So I'm not sure what to expect there, but
Maybe
I don't
nothing.
believe it
Maybe.
to be. I don't believe it to be a coincidence when it comes to Hickman. Anyway, Dragon Man helps sort out the aquarium in the building, and then concurrently with all of these other scenes, there's this loud ee noise has started sounding, and everybody groups together. Not in the council room because they're sealed off; they can't hear it. Everybody groups together and finds out it's a distress call coming through to Sue from Atlantis, where 2 of the 3 races have united to steal the crown of old Atlantis. Old Atlantis, of course, the Atlantis that has been part of Hickman's Fantastic Four. And of course, we know that's bad juju, but we'll get back to why it is in a minute. Back to the council. They talk. So Dr. Doom opines, I do believe I like these reeds. And then Reed replies, you wouldn't. One of the things they do is turn any Victor Von Dooms they encounter on any world into vegetables. They consider you too dangerous to just let wander around. And then Diablo was, well then, I do believe I like these reeds. Sad Doom is sad. There's this wonderful, completely silent, grumpy Doom head panel. It's like, yeah, well, anyway, the question remains, how do we find and defeat these men, these perfect reeds? And then Nathaniel Richards comes in and slaps his dick around a bit and goes, I'm smarter than all of you.
This was my favorite part. Where he's just like, no, you don't get it.
What the hell do we even have you here for, guys? Seriously, I knew it all along, but I just didn't want to say nothing. Anyway, it leads to the conclusion that they're building something, and of course Valeria has been sitting on the information because she overheard the Reeds talking about it whenever she brought them back from the bridge, as we saw in the flashback last issue. The connections through the Negative Zone city, the city of the High Evolutionary, Old Atlantis, and the Inhumans on the moon. It's all coming together now, and they know it. And so our issue concludes with the rest of the team. Well, I say the rest of the team. It's Sue, Spidey, and Alex have gone up to Old Atlantis, where bad shit be going down. Crazy big crab mollusk monsters trying to break down the shield surrounding Old Atlantis so that they can drown them with air. Wonderful turn of phrase.
Yeah. This is awesome.
And then the Mole Man appears. What the hell? I don't care. Mole Man, awesome. It's like the ice just gives way, and the forces of the Mole Man and all his monsters just erupt up from beneath. And that's cool because he had a very brief appearance, like early on in Hickman's. Like I think it was the first part of the introduction of the 4 cities when he was like, "Yeah, my moloids are running away. Come and help me do something about it."
Yeah, that's right.
So here he's come back into the story again, and everybody looks to the figure in the parka who's standing next to the Mole Man as the hood comes down, and it's Reed underneath. Of course, we know this is just one of the other Reeds, but what one has to remember, given that we've known about these for something in the vicinity of nearly 2 years now, is that nobody else does.
No.
Reed never told anybody,
Nope.
and Sue's jaw hits the floor for this issue's cliffhanger.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, God, it's just...
This is just, I mean, I finished, I read this last night, and I immediately tweeted that Jonathan Hickman is amazing, because Jonathan Hickman is amazing. I mean, this is just, I mean, every issue of this is compelling. Every issue of this is good stuff. There's just
6 characters sitting in a dark room talking back and forth with one another is magnetic.
I'm riveted. You know? I mean, this is Star Trek level stuff that is just riveting.
And it's not characters just talking about whatever. I mean, everything they say, every exchange they have is a revelation to somebody at that table. The bigger picture is slowly being pieced together in the minds of everybody sitting around that table. And to an extent, the reader. I mean, the reader, and that's the thing, we as readers basically know, pardon me, winded with rage. Winded with excitement. We basically already know everything, but it's the fact that it's been hidden for getting on 2 years now. And it's like, oh, shit, son, everything's going on. Dr. Doom finding out they got inside. Specifically, collision. It's everywhere.
I mean, this is. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's just, and the art in this issue is actually really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like Epic normally, but Kitson, he does a very nice job on here as well.
There's some nice panels in here. I mean, just some of the subtlety.
All that mole man. I love that the mole man felt the need to give his moloids parkas.
I love that mole man.
That's a lot of parkas.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I like Sushi blows a hole in one of the mollusks.
Yeah, like boom, just with the force field right through it. No compunctions.
Nope.
And this is a wonderful illustration of how we are not reading the Fantastic Four anymore. Mm-hmm. The Thing wanders off. Reed's locked in a room. The team that goes into action this issue is Sue Storm, Alex Power from Power Pack, and Spider-Man. This is the future Foundation.
Right.
You can have any of these guys going into fighting. This is not the Fantastic Four anymore, and that it validates the rebranding of the series in a way I fully expected that it would. But it's nice to be, nice to have fighting for you.
There's another subtle thing here. I think it's kind of subtle, but they had introduced, like with these new suits, that they had the ability to change colors, and that seemed sort of like odd. Except when you realize that most of this the last part of this issue is shot against a white background. And
so they invert their colors just so you can see them. They can see each other.
The high contrast colors. Like, that's awesome. I mean, there's no other reason to do that than artistic, but damn, that's good stuff.
Crafty. I mean, it's like everybody who manages to get a little space on panel gets a little moment. I mean, I still don't know where he's going with the Wizards clone. Something's brewing in that little kid's head, Yeah. But he's really good for nasty comedy one-liners. Ben sitting leaning on the door going, "It's too quiet in there," and then Bentley puts his ear to the window and goes, "Maybe there's no noise because something's gone horribly wrong. We should totally break in. I have a blowtorch hidden under my bed."
Yeah.
Oh, of course you do.
That's great. It's unfazed by the comment. And that is sort of the thing. It's like
every other sentence out of that little freak's mouth is something weird like that. So Ben is like, whatever, at this point.
I mean, because, again, you get that idea that it's like, the question is, does Bentley really have a blowtorch under there? Is it something he's saying because he's trying to be tough? But I mean, yeah, he probably does, but it's also it's like he has to declare it as well. It's that concept.
He really wants everybody to know that he is a bad boy.
Yeah.
And it's part of it seems to be because he knows who he's cloned from, and he thinks, sometimes it seems like he's only acting the way he acts because it's how he believes he should.
Right.
Like, genuinely, he acts like a little douche because it's expected of him. He doesn't seem to have any compunction to want to act any other way, but that's because nobody's given him one yet. And it's like, blowtorch under my bed. Yeah, that's something the wizard would do, all right. He probably does because he thinks he probably should. But he likes to say outrageous things. But every so often you do get this little something breaks through where you are reminded that, for all of the twisted 5 minutes of life he's had being an artificially aged clone, he is still a child because, hey, he's playing dart guns with the other kids. Mm-hmm. I remember, I think it was Franklin's birthday issue, wherever he was said, Bentley, do you want a piece of cake? And he says, my name is not Bentley, it is 32, because he felt he hadn't earned the wizard name yet. Because he's actively striving to earn the wizard's name, because he believes he's got it in his head that he wants to be like that. But he says, I am 32, and I will be worthy of it someday. But until then, 32 would like the corner piece.
Yes. Yeah. But it gives me the feeling, though, and that something courageous and then bad is going to really happen to this character. I mean,
that's presumably going to come in a culmination of whatever is going on with the wizard, which I assume is probably going to be the climax of Hickman's run, whenever that may be.
Right.
Because the idea of the wizard genetically creating humans and being what he calls on a mission from God, because he keeps making all these holy and religious, peppering them into his speech, and he has been doing every time he pops up. And he's lost his mind. Without the helmet, he's not all there. Whatever. I sort of was assuming that maybe he'd made contact with whatever greater powers were at work here, but the fact that there doesn't seem to be a greater pirate working it genuinely does just seem to be Nathaniel and the kids from the future knew what was going to happen and they had to set things to rights. Makes me wonder all the more about what I mean. I'm not assuming one day he just woke up and snapped. I'm assuming something has happened to the wizard that will, since it was introduced in the very first issue of the run, will probably be the climax of the run, and it'll probably be what happens with Bentley. You know, it's all this other little stuff. I mean, that you couldn't even call that a subplot, though. That's just something that's going on with a character. It's not like they ever deliver any attention to it, but you know it's percolating because the little dude is just always there saying creepy things.
Well, and that's I think it's a tribute to what Hickman is doing and it has done and is continuing to do with this series is because everything's relevant. He doesn't. He's not doing. There's little, if nothing, that's in this that is just because. There is a certain amount of nuance to what he's doing, and that to me is what's interesting, is that there are all of these little pieces that he's moving around the board, and sometimes those are going to be important at some points, and they're going to be important at others. I mean, just like we've talked about with the War of the Four Cities, that's been hinted at since the beginning of this run.
Literally, yeah.
And now it's only now coming.
Every time I pick up and read an issue of FF, I'm reminded of the fact that I'm reading something with a long-term goal. And I don't know when I last read a comic with a creative team on it who genuinely seemed to have some kind of finite, long-term plan for their period on the book. You know, I mean, yes, Bendis is slinging around this stuff about the Ultron War and what have you, brewing in Avengers, but I don't really believe he has a concrete plan for what's coming in the future. You know, there's another book I'm reading at the minute that you know, it's like when you have your books that, like, let's just say Secret Six, for instance, you've got Gail Simone. She made it. She always writes it. I'm sure she has plan. Obviously, she obviously has plans for where it's all going in the future. But you don't get the sense that you're reading some one large overarching narrative because you're not. It's just the continuing adventures of the Secret Six. Like it's with Hickman's FF or a long running book like the FF, which is like nearing issue 600 at this point. You know, this is one of many runs over time, and this is like Grant Morrison striding onto the X-Men the way he did a decade ago or whatever. This is somebody or the way he's done with, of course, Batman. I'm always bringing up Morrison whenever it comes to talking about Hickman, but you know, the parallels are there. Or like he did with Batman, there's a goal. This is going somewhere, and it always has been. And like you say, everything matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read a review of the previous issue, which said that they thought it would read better in trade because it was quite a slow, talky, fill-in-the-blanks issue. I can't believe that anything Hickman does would read better in trade because this is a serial. This is something you're meant to experience piece on piece on piece, not in big paperback chunks. This is I don't remember if I've used this expression on this show before. I meant to use it in my sparring thing that I did when I was doing the overview, but I forgot. But it's something I've used in conversation with this one customer. We talk about it. Jonathan Hickman's FF is the distilled essence of what a comic should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is just a single serial adventure that's part of something larger, subplots, wonderful carrier work, things that are at the fore, things that are at the middle, things that are percolating in the background that you wouldn't even notice. You know, it's my favorite Marvel book for a reason.
So,
if you're not reading it, I mean, what are you even doing listening to this show? I forbid you to listen to this show.
Unless you're reading FF.
So,
I won't go that far, but yeah. I'm sorry.
So, what you're saying is you like it?
Well, I guess.
It's pretty good. I mean, you know,
I mean, if you want to boil it down.
For a comic book, it's pretty good. So.
It's pretty good.
Decent.
Oh, so awesome. So there you go, FF. I mean, seriously, people, I mean, just to put it in a nutshell, you should be reading this book.
Yeah.
You're reading it, you know, and you didn't, you know.
No, to be honest, I mean, like I said, you know, when we started doing this show, you were talking about Hickman's run on FF. And, you know, to be honest, I could have given two shits because I don't really generally care about the Fantastic Four. They're not. I've always said that I felt the Fantastic Four were very uninteresting to me. You know, I like ground level characters, or I like a big epic story or something. You know, but I never felt that Fantastic Four fit into that. You know, it always seemed like it was this weird space thing, or you know, they were always going to some sub-dimension somewhere and looking at some octopus thing or something. It just never, you know what I mean? It was just like, I don't get what's going on. Like, I think I had owned
That's
one
a
issue.
good issue.
I had owned, like, one issue. I'm like, I just made that up.
That's what the Fantastic Four do when they guest star in every other comic book.
Well, like, I have one issue of, like, Fantastic Four from the 90s, and it's some weird deal where Reed and Doom are fighting each other, and they have these, like, time travel watches, and, like, the whole issue has, like, different time. Like,
Walt Simonson.
I have no idea what the fuck is going on in that issue. I'm just like, I just don't care about this.
Yeah.
But this is what I love. I mean, like I said, nuanced, well-written, well-thought-out story. Just, it's good. And I will, you know, the sad thing is, I hate to say this, but unless the next writer is as good as Hickman, I probably won't keep reading Fantastic Four. But
I predict the next writer will be a short fill-in arc by Carl Kessel.
Yeah.
Because that's what always happens.
Yeah, we've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Never.
So, anyway.
Carl Kessel always writes good Fantastic Four, though, so that's a couple of extra issues for you.
So yeah, anyway, awesome stuff. Really love it. And yeah, that's from a guy that didn't give two shits about Fantastic Four before this series. So, hey, that's it. That's the show. Big stuff this week coming up as far as on our next show. Again, it's going to be Fear Itself and Flashpoint. Flashpoint's turning out to apparently be pretty important. So,
the first wave of Flashpoint tie-ins hits this week as well. Yeah. I'm not getting any of them, but I don't know if you are.
By wave, you mean tsunami.
No, it's only 4.
Okay, but the tsunami is coming, is what I'm saying.
It is like coming. Well, I mean, it's there's 4 every week. So this is a 5-week. This is a 5-week month, which is why we have those extra one-shots this week. So there will be 4 Flashpoint tie-ins every week.
So that's a lot, but you know, you don't necessarily need those. I don't think. Hopefully, one of those will have Shazam in it. But
so somebody can let me know if any of them have him in it.
Yeah, if they have Shazam, please let us know because we want that. So, a few shout-outs real quick. First of all, again, thank you so much if you're listening to the show. Again, please retweet us. We love that. Get some more coverage out there. Second of all, we want to thank Comic News International. It's comicnewseye.com. We post the show there. They give us news stuff that we talk about. Usually, like I said, there was no news this week, but that's not their fault. That's Comic Book World's fault. So anyway, check them out, comicnewseye.com. Also, you want to go to tfradio.net. Mainly, if you're interested in Transformers, you want to check out RFC. BotCon is coming up next weekend, so we actually have a BotCon sort of tie-in contest going on with Radio Free Cybertron. If you go to, I'm going to totally screw this up, so I'm going to try to go to the site so that I can actually say it correctly here. What you want to do is we have a contest going with Captured Prey, which is a source for awesome Transformers toys, figures. I think they may sell their stuff as well. Anyway, here's what you got to do. You got to go to Twitter, sign up with your Twitter account. You want to, sometime, I believe it's anytime starting now, but ideally during BotCon. And if you go to, of course, tfradio.net, you can get the line here. But basically, it's loving at tfradio from pound BotCon at tfradio.net. Tweet that. You're going to be entered for a chance to win a $75 gift certificate to Captured Prey. That is no small change, my friends.
Wow.
Am I eligible?
Am I eligible?
No, you're not. No,
Damn.
you're not.
This is the worst contest ever.
So, sorry, guys. Anyway, so do that, and you're going to enter for a chance to win that. Totally awesome, cool contest we're going to run with them, so pretty excited about that. And also, you want to check out T-Formers and RFC. We're going to be joining up to give you BotCon coverage as well, so that's going to be good stuff. And we're going to be partnering for Comic-Con coverage as well, so don't think that we're just talking about Transformers, because we are going to have Comic-Con coverage coming up as well. That is going to be a lot of fun. I'll figure out when Comic-Con is.
But we will still be here next week, even with all of this going on.
All of that going on, we're still going to be here. Yes.
Nicole won't be.
Nicole won't be here, but I'll be here. Triplet, McFeely, they'll be here, I hope.
Just wallowing in our misery and projecting our hate towards those who have made it to BotCon.
Right.
Yeah.
And looking and buying and getting cool things. Yes. So, anyway, and again, we want to thank you. We want to thank you so much for tuning in, joining us. Whether you're watching us live when we broadcast on Sunday afternoons or evenings, depending on where you live. Whether or not you're listening to the podcast, whether you're watching us. Thanks so much for joining us, and we really appreciate all of you out there. So thanks. And watch the show. I always recommend you watch the show. We do the video for a reason. We show panels and stuff from the comics that we're talking about. We try to be animated.
Yeah, you could not have seen Abraham Lincoln punch a Nazi if you weren't watching the video today.
Right. I'm not sure on the copyright on that, but whatever. So we don't get paid for the show, so whatever. But anyway, again, thank you so much for tuning in, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.